So you're considering sailing on Serenade of the Seas, a ship that is almost 25 years old. What is there to do on board? Is it in shape that's worth booking, or should you consider something else? We're gonna cover everything you need to know about Serenade of the Seas so that you can make an informed decision right now. So as you can see, we're clearly sailing on Serenade now. This is our final day of our 9-night sailing. And we wanted to give you a full review on this so you guys know exactly what to expect and whether or not you should book it for your next cruise vacation. So let's start off with everybody's favorite thing, which is
the food.
The food. All right, so Amy, what did you think about the food on board?
I loved it so far. Every meal has been great. There hasn't been anything that was just mediocre, in my opinion. I know you've had different meals with different options and different opinions.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go through the different types of venues, and then maybe we can try to clarify that a little bit. So let's start at the main dining room. What did you think about the food in the main dining room?
Excellent. Every meal that I had was cooked to perfection and was juicy and tender and so yummy. But I know you had some different opinions.
Well, honestly, like the prime rib for me was the first night, I thought, and I couldn't even cut it with a knife. It was very tough. It was not the most flavorful meat, and it was pretty tough, so I wasn't a big fan of that. There's a couple meals that were just subpar overall, but the service was fantastic. Our waiter Saul and Desiree were great. They made sure that we enjoyed everything that we got, and they really made sure to take care of us. And if we didn't like it, they would bring us something else. But other than the prime rib, that was the big letdown for me. The jerk pork chop was fantastic. Just overall, the service in the main dining room was really good, and I would say the food was average in the main dining room for me.
We were out in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And there were 5 of us going this time at a table.
And that's pretty quick comparatively. You know, they do tell you to expect between an hour and a half to 2 hours for your time in the dining room. So the fact that we were on that lower end was pretty impressive. So as far as the buffet and the Windjammer, what was your experience there?
The staff were there immediately when you would come in and sit down, offering you drinks, making sure everything was clean. The food was just normal buffet food. Nothing really stood out to me.
Yeah, so the Windjammer to me, I thought it was pretty solid for a Windjammer, right? The food is what you're going to expect. It's mass production food. But I will say the staff was above and beyond. I thought the buffet was pretty good. In the Windjammer, you know, for a mass-produced meal, I thought it was pretty good. The food was very flavorful. There was plenty of it. Never had trouble finding anything. Now, on this size ship, it is a lot smaller. Like, I'll show you some video here of the Windjammer. It is much smaller than your other Windjammers. It's basically one central pocket with like 4 option bars, and that's really it. Now, we did get to do something different on this cruise that we've never done before, and that is specialty dining at the chef's table. This is an exclusive dining experience with a very limited number of people. We had about 12 people with us total, including us, and it was fantastic. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
It was a really cool experience. We pre-booked this dining event, so we did not book on board, and we got an amazing deal by pre-booking it, which was fantastic. But they take you into a separate area on these ships. So a lot of times you'll see the chef's table in the dining room with like a walled curtain sort of deal. This was kind of back and tucked away with one of the personal chefs on board. You had your own bartender, and they would explain all of the wines that were going to go with all the meals, and then the chef would come out and tell you how they prepared each meal. And man, I wish that we recorded how they made some of those meals because they were fantastic.
Yeah, so it was a 6-course meal with wine pairings along the way and then a dessert cocktail at the end, and it was just fantastic. Now, Amy doesn't do seafood, and it was a very seafood heavy menu last night, but it was no big deal. As soon as we let them know, like, hey, she doesn't do seafood, they audibled for her, and they made her a completely different menu for the courses that were seafood, which was really cool, the fact that they were able to do that on the fly. So if seafood is a problem for you and you're worried about that, don't worry, just let them know, and they can fix it for you and still make you a fantastic meal. There wasn't anything that I didn't like while we were at the chef's table. I mean, just an amazing dining experience. 10 out of 10 for me on that.
100% go hungry, because you will get 6 courses and 6 different drinks, 7 if you include the welcome drink when they come pick you up from the wine lounge. So make sure you've either A, had a light lunch, or B, just skip lunch because you're going to be stuffed by the time you leave.
Now, this is a 9-night sailing and it's in the middle of the school year. So we're guessing a lot of parents didn't want to take their kids out of school for this. And it's pretty apparent because stepping on board, we didn't feel like we were on a Royal Caribbean ship. It felt a lot more like Holland America due to the clientele.
We were the youngsters. We were definitely one of the younger people on this sailing. And I think there were maybe only 20 kids on board. So very much of an older clientele on this sailing.
But we did that to ourselves, booking a longer cruise in the middle of the school year. So just know that that's a possibility if you do end up booking something like this in the middle of the school year. But speaking of kids, let's talk about what there is for kids to do on this ship. Now, it's not one of the bigger, nicer, newer ships, as we've already kind of pointed out to you, but there are a few things for kids to do on here. Like every other Royal Caribbean ship, from Grandeur all the way up to Icon, they do have Adventure Ocean, which is the kids club, as well as Royal Tots for the babies and a teen club to hang out in. Out of all the experiences we've ever been on, this is by far the biggest letdown for Adventure Ocean. Our daughter normally will go there and choose to go there over spending time with us. And after 2 days there, she was like, I don't want to go. They don't do anything. They make us sit in a circle and color the whole time, which is kind of disappointing because normally Adventure Ocean is just jam-packed full of activities and adventure for these kids, such as like making pirate hats and camping and doing science experiments, playing, watching movies. And this time it seemed like the teachers just weren't into it. They were basically there just like babysitting, like, here, color and don't bother me, which is really shocking because our daughter typically wants to go there, and since day 2 she hasn't wanted to go back. Now, something I definitely want to point out, and I'm going to put up a video of it here, is that this ship does not have a splashaway bay. Splashaway bay is what you'll see on the bigger ships where the kids can go run around on the pool deck. They have that big bucket that tops water on them, the climbing and the slides and all that stuff. The Radiance class actually has a place called Adventure Beach. So Adventure Beach is very small. It is essentially a wading pool with a pool the size of a hot tub maybe that goes up to your waist for the kids to play in. There's one giant slide that they can do with a family member if they're under 48 inches, and then one super small like dolphin kiddie slide to get into the pool waiting area. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no splash pads. There's nothing for them to climb or do. Luckily, our daughter's grandmother brought play toys on board for her to play with in the water, and that entertained the kids because otherwise they were just kind of sitting there looking at each other, splashing, and then kind of got bored.
So as cold as the pool water is, the water slide is extremely cold. And if your child is, as he mentioned, under 48 inches, you have to go down the slide with them. So be prepared for that.
So just because Adventure Ocean and Adventure Bay may not be the most exciting thing for your kid to do, doesn't mean there's nothing for them to do on board. This ship, for its size, actually has quite a bit of stuff to do. This ship has a full-size movie theater inside of it. And we got to see The Wild Robot, a kid's movie, inside the movie theater. Our daughter loved it, and it was great. It was a free movie experience. They don't charge for it. You just show up, and they were playing adult movies and children's movies throughout the ship, depending on the time and the day. So just know that is going to be an option that you're going to have on board these Radiance class ships.
And if you want to catch a movie but not in the movie theater, they have the big pool screen and you can watch a movie from a lounger or the hot tub and have great viewing options all around the pool deck.
Speaking of the pool deck, some other things you can do. They have table tennis right there, or ping pong if you want to call it that, right next to the pool. They also have all your fitness activities, your morning stretches, your Zumbas, your line dances, all those things going on. They also have a rock climbing wall, sports courts, and putt-putt on this ship. So while it is a small ship, they've really crammed a lot of things to do onto this small ship. All of that stuff is going to be really close together. So Adventure Beach and Adventure Ocean are technically touching next to each other. Your sports courts are right next to that. And then the stairwell right next to that takes you up into the putt-putt area and the rock climbing area. And then underneath putt-putt is the arcade. So pretty much anything activity-wise that you would want to do with your kids is all right there. Basketball, soccer, pickleball, it really doesn't matter. You can go do it all right there in that one area of the ship, or you can go to the pool deck, hang out in the pool or the hot tub. But there is quite a few options for you to do with your child on this ship. So if you're wondering what there is to do for adults, on top of all that other stuff we've talked about, the Centrum pretty much has stuff going on all day long. And the Centrum's that big open area in the center of the ship. It goes all the way from deck 4 to deck 11, and it has stuff going on all day. Trivia, musical performances, line dancing, I mean, just anything you can think of. There's an activity going on in the Centrum. The schooner bar had trivia or games all throughout the entire sailing. Like, there was never a dull moment. This place was packed full of people doing different things at all times of the day. One neat thing that this ship has that most other ships don't is a golf simulator. It was very cool. It was up in the club on the top deck, deck 13. They closed down that dance floor area and set up a full-scale golf simulator there using the TrackMan system and high-end Callaway clubs. They did it closest to the pin competition, and it was very cool to go watch and go swing and actually play golf on a real golf course on board a cruise ship. Another cool option is that they allow you to rent it at $40 an hour for your entire party, not per person. So you can bring 2 of your friends or 8 of your friends and go golfing at $40 an hour, which is obviously way cheaper than what you would pay to go golf anywhere else. They also have the adult solarium area, which is its own pool and hot tub area. The Radiance class ships do have a park cafe there, so you can get snacks at certain times of the day or late at night, which is really nice. So the main difference between this and the celebrity version is the celebrity version was air conditioned, which was really nice. The royal versions tend to be like hot and muggy, almost like steamy in there because they're enclosed. So they're enclosed from the elements, but that also kind of traps in the humidity in that room.
But I did like the decorations that were in the solarium. Lots of pictures. You could even take the bridge over the solarium pool. When our daughter walked in for the first time, walking through, she was just like, wow. And absolutely loved the decorations in there too.
Yeah, this one's themed like you're in India, which is really cool. There's some that are like Egyptian themed or whatever. This one's Indian themed, which is really neat. The huge giant elephants flanking the pool. I mean, just a very cool theme. Just outside the solarium, you also have the spa and the gym. We actually were able to take the spa up on a couple spa services, which was really nice. And then above that is a very surprisingly decent sized gym. The gym wraps all the way around that end of the ship, and it has tons of machines, tons of free weights, a big open area if you wanted to do like stretching or yoga or some kind of like high intensity interval fitness in the center there. It was actually surprising for the size of the ship, the size of the gym that they put on board. So shout out to Royal for an awesome gym that we were able to use. So as far as entertainment on board, the entertainment on board has been pretty solid since the start. Initially, they did a show called Marquee, and Marquee was really a bunch of different show tunes from musicals, and they had the production cast doing that for you. So they had the Royal Caribbean singers and dancers doing everything, and it was actually a really good show. I really liked it. The cast worked well together. They sang good, they harmonized, the dancers looked great doing their stuff. It was a great performance, I thought. The second show was way less of a production, not a bunch of set changes, not a bunch of dancing. It was just the singers and the orchestra playing show tunes. That was interesting and neat. Not quite as fancy as the Marquee show, but it was still a very good show. They did really well. These singers are pretty strong on this ship.
Right, it showcased each of their talents. So that was really neat to see all of their strengths throughout each piece that they performed.
We also saw the Tennessee Tenors. There were 3 gentlemen, obviously from Nashville, and they were singing, and I thought it was going to be a country music show, but they actually sang a whole bunch of stuff, even including like Adele, which I wasn't expecting. They were very good, very strong vocalists, backed by the Serenade of the Seas Orchestra, and that was great. So as far as I'm concerned, all of the shows, the productions on board have been fantastic.
No, I totally agree. Every show has been fantastic. Strong cast, strong production team overall.
Okay, so let's talk about the ship itself. Now, Serenade of the Seas, like we said, is 22 years old, and it's a smaller ship. The Radiance class ship is fairly small, and it's way different than what we expected. We were just on Voyager of the Seas, another small ship, and that one was in terrible shape. It was awful. We have a review that you can watch on that here. So if you're considering booking it, I wouldn't. Book something like this instead. And I say that because Serenade is actually in amazing shape for its age.
Right, they've done an amazing job keeping and maintaining this ship. Now, if you look around and look for things, you will find some things here and there. But when we're in port, they're painting the ship. They're doing the little repairs and that sort of deal. It has gone through 2 refurbishments. They had one in 2012, I believe, and then one in 2022, and then they've had the normal maintenance in 2017. Even though she's old, she's been kept up, and she will be going into another dry dock time period in the end of February through March.
I gotta believe, because this is the ship they were using for the Ultimate World Sailing, that they took the time to bring this ship up to snuff and make sure everything was squared away, because people were going to be living on here for 9 to 12 months at a time, traveling the world, paying $60,000+ to be on board. And you can just tell this ship has been way better maintained than a lot of the other ships in the fleet of its age. This ship way outbeats Enchantment, Grandeur, Voyager, all these other smaller ships. This ship is in much better shape. We were recently on Radiance, and Radiance isn't in bad shape either, but I feel like this ship is still in better shape than all of those ships. They've done a great job. And like Amy said, it's been dry docked and refurbished several different times, and each time they've added stuff to it and made the ship better. And now it's going into dry dock yet again at the end of February, early March. So that just tells me they're continuing to put money into this ship, keep it well maintained, and keep it in ship shape. So that was a pleasant surprise for us. That was one of my main concerns with booking this 22-year-old ship. Something else that's really cool is normally on these smaller and older ships, the staff is almost always like going above and beyond, trying to make up because they can tell that the ship isn't great. But I'll tell you that the staff on this ship has been phenomenal. We haven't had a single negative or subpar interaction with any staff member anywhere. It has been awesome. And we don't walk around all the time with a camera trying to catch people, right? It's just normal interactions with them have been fantastic. I just feel like from our room steward to our waiters, the deck managers, even the housekeepers cleaning the areas of the ship, everyone's just been fantastic. The bartenders, Placide down in the schooner bar, just some really great people.
Everybody's been super happy. Everybody's always in a good mood. And when we've kind of talked to them, they've mentioned not only are the clients, the guests that come on board, are family, but they always talk about how this ship, even behind the scenes, is one big family, which totally helps give them that extra support.
Right. So currently the staff that's on board is phenomenal and the ship is in great shape. Okay, so to wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, let's go through our general ratings of the ship and the experiences here. So let's start with the food. So Amy, how would you rate the food on a scale of 0 to 10?
I'd give it a 10 this time. This is very weird for me because usually Royal, there's something missing, but every single meal for me has been spot on.
I would give it an 8 and probably push it to a 9 if we include the chef's table area. There was just a couple meals that were misses for me in the dining room, but overall the food has been really good on board. It's been well prepared, it's been tasty, lots of spices and seasonings, lots of flavor. I thought they've done it really good. We even had a new menu for the first time ever, an Asian menu that was not normally on the menu, which was nice kung pao chicken, sweet and sour pork, stuff like that I thought was a really nice surprise and a nice addition to the menu. So shout out to Royal on that. Okay, so as far as entertainment, as far as like activities, things to do, the productions, what do you give the ship?
Maybe a 9 or a 9.5, but there is so much to do on this ship. I'm saying like 9.5. When all of the items were preloaded onto the cruise planner, we're literally looking at it going, how are we gonna do all this? Because there's so much stuff to do.
I'm gonna have to agree. So even though I didn't like the one show, not every show's for every person. So I'm gonna give this ship a 10 out of 10 when it comes to activity and entertainment, because you can always find something to do on this ship, whether it's the sports courts activities, the arcade, the trivia, the different shows, the performances around the ship. I mean, the movie theater was just nonstop. It was almost overwhelming trying to figure out what we were gonna do next because there was so much going on. So shout out to the activities manager on board the ship. You've just absolutely crushed this for us. This has been a great sailing, keeping us engaged and entertained and moving people throughout the ship. There was so much going on that not one thing was ever packed because everybody was doing everything all the time. Okay, so we just talked about it. Let's rate the staff. What do you give the staff on board?
A 5,000.
5,000?
All 10,000. They were fantastic. So this is one of the ships where we are coming back in a couple of weeks to spend time on. And some of the staff that we've gotten to know, I mean, great for them. They're getting to go home, but we're sad we're going to miss them because they're not going to be here when we come back. But I am genuinely excited to come back just for some of the staff on this ship. Just the way you're treated, the way they're acting throughout the entire time is fantastic.
I'm gonna agree. The staff on board is a 10 out of 10. They personally make you feel like you're their family member or their personal friend. They go out of their way to be just extra helpful, extra nice, extra everything. They're awesome on board this ship. Honestly, Royal, if you're looking for a team to train other ships, this is where you need to be looking to pull from. Everybody on board here has been just absolutely phenomenal. Our housekeeper, Dana, Placide down in the dining room, Macy at the chef's table. I mean, just everywhere we've been, people have been fantastic. Saw, Hatit, just everybody is just awesome. I could go on for days. So your overall rating, Serenade of the Seas, 0 to 10, and would you say on the ship again?
I would give it an 8. Only because our daughter didn't enjoy Adventure Ocean.
I'm gonna give the ship a 10 out of 10. If you're coming as adults, there's just so much to do, so many neat things, just like the golf simulator, which isn't anywhere else on board a Royal ship that we've seen so far. It's been a great sailing. If you are bringing young kids in that 3 to 5 range, it is gonna drop it down, like she said, because the current staff on board just seems to suck at entertaining kids. They don't wanna deal with it. And so unfortunately that does bring the rating down. But outside of that, it has been a great time and I've been really happy with this ship. And like she said, we are sailing again in 2 weeks and I'm still excited to come back to this ship because of how great of a time it's been. So if you are considering sailing on Serenade of the Seas, I would say do it. It's a great time, it's a great ship, and it's in great shape. Don't let the age or the size of the ship scare you. There's plenty of things to do and see. The ship is in fantastic shape, and we've had a great itinerary going to places like San Juan, St. Martin, St. Croix, and the Dominican Republic. The other itinerary does is Cozumel and Costa Maya. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have a great itinerary, and you're gonna have great staff on a great ship. Guys, we hope this review of Serenade of the Seas was helpful for you to decide whether or not this is the right ship for you. If it is, don't forget to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel. And as always, you can use the QR code here to have Amy book the perfect cruise on the perfect itinerary for you, or the link down in the description below. And as always, consider watching some more of our great cruising content right here as it really helps the channel. And we'll see you guys on the next one.